Welcome to episode 5 of Everything Sports with Aman. I'm your host, Aman Karni, and I talk about the hottest topics in sports over the course of the past week. And today we talk about Trevor Bauer signing with the LA Dodgers, the Super Bowl this weekend, Fantasy Minute, Matthew Stafford being traded from the Lions to the Rams. That was shocking. It happened a day after our last episode. And then Manchester City on top of the Premier League table, currently on fire right now. And now we have Evan Garber to talk about the Trevor Bauer signing, and he is a Giants fan, so keep that in mind while listening to this because we are going to get a Giants fan reaction to this Trevor Bauer signing to the Dodgers. And without further ado, here is Evan Garber.
Well, first let's get to the details of the signing. We got Trevor Bauer signing with the Los Angeles Dodgers for 3 years, $102 million, with a guaranteed $40 million in 2021 and $45 million in 2022, with opt-outs after each season. I mean, this team is going to be stacked. Already coming off a World Series win, you add Trevor Bauer, Cy Young Award winner. Your pitcher rotation has Walker Buehler, Clayton Kershaw, David Price, Julio Urias, Dustin May, and now Trevor Bauer. There's no way they're going down. They're easily going to win the World Series this year.
I mean, now, like, the Dodgers obviously have Clayton Kershaw, who's a really good pitcher. Now, Trevor Bauer, a really good pitcher. And not to mention, Evan only mentioned the pitchers. Now, like, the rest of the team, Mookie Betts, Cody Bellinger, so many great players. And I, like he said, also, I don't see how you beat this team. They're going to win the World Series for sure. If they don't win the World Series, then shame on them because this is like a God squad. And with all these strengths, Evan, what do you think their weakness is?
I think their weakness is definitely at third base. I mean, the loss of Justin Turner is pretty big, but when you add a Cy Young Award pitcher and you already have so much talent, so many talented players on your team, I mean, it's not much of a loss. I mean, they're easily going to win the World Series this year, no doubt. The only team that will come close to them is maybe the Yankees, but they always seem to choke every year. So it's basically guaranteed the Dodgers are going to be the 2021 World Series champions.
Now, as a Giants fan, how do you feel about this?
I mean, man, I am absolutely devastated. I mean, things were looking so promising this year. I mean, we added Tommy LaStella, we added Descalfini, Buster Posey was on his way back this year. It looked so great last year, almost making the playoffs. I thought we for sure had a chance to make the playoffs this year with the additions we've had, but now it's looking like we're just going to be stuck missing the playoffs every year for the next 3 years at least. Maybe even 5, 10. Who knows at this point?
Well, I mean, Dodgers, Giants, those games hopefully will be close. But I mean, Dodgers are a team that will hurt the Giants' chances of making the playoffs. But I mean, Dodgers were in the playoffs last year, so maybe Giants can squeak in, and it would be funny to see them upset the Dodgers. But let's see if that happens. And like you said, there's not many weaknesses to this honestly overpowered Dodgers team, and I like to call them the Warriors of basketball. Like, think of the 2016, 2017 Warriors. They were amazing. They just wreaked havoc on the NBA, won two in a row, and Dodgers can easily do this. Maybe even get the best record in MLB history with the type of roster they have, and it's simply incredible. And how many games do you think they're gonna win?
Well, if they have a 162 game season, I think they'll win at least maybe even 110 at least. I mean that team's just way too good. I mean unless they get a bunch of injuries, they ain't losing too many games, especially with some weak teams like the Giants, the Rockies, and the D-backs in the league in the division. Sorry,
Uh,
um, there's they ain't losing too many games at all.
Yeah, like you guys saw his reaction. Like I'm pretty sure you can speak for most Giants fan, like being devastated, being extremely mad, and hopefully the Giants make the playoffs. But for now, like we said, our thoughts and everyone's thoughts probably at this moment, the Dodgers are overpowered and basically unstoppable. And with that, that ends the Trevor Bauer segment. Now we move on to the Super Bowl between the Buccaneers and Chiefs. And like I said, Evan will stay and talk for this segment. And between the Chiefs and Buccaneers, who do you think is gonna win?
My prediction for Super Bowl is the Chiefs topping the Buccaneers by a final score of 34-31 in what I think could be the matchup of the century, Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes.
I mean, yeah, like Mahomes has been the best quarterback in the NFL the past few years, and I don't see that changing. And hopefully, he can keep it up for as long as Brady has. Brady is 43 or 42, some honestly old age. Not to make fun of him, but old age. But he could potentially win his seventh Super Bowl, and he's going to his 10th Super Bowl. And not to mention, it's in Tampa. And for the first time in Super Bowl history, the team is actually playing in their home stadium for the Super Bowl. And it's honestly crazy, but if I didn't say it, the Chiefs are gonna win. I'm picking the Chiefs by 10 points. And what do you think the keys are for both teams to win? Like, what do you think the keys for the Chiefs and the Buccaneers are?
Well, the keys for the Chiefs is to limit the offense. I mean, Tom Brady is gonna he's gonna come out firing. I mean, he's the greatest of all time.
But yeah,
He's in the
yeah.
Super Bowl now. He's gonna come out firing. But also, you want to have a great offensive line. I mean, the offensive line right now they're injured, but it's gonna be key to stop that amazing defensive line. You're gonna have to protect Patrick Mahomes and open up some gaps for Le'Veon Bell and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That's gonna be key for them.
Now, what about the Buccaneers side of things?
For the Buccaneers side, it's definitely just continue to run the ball. I mean, you got to keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands at all times, much as you possibly can. Just keep running the football, run down the clock as much as you can, and just try to stop Patrick Mahomes if you can.
I mean, yeah, like running the ball, just pretty much milking the clock. Don't let Mahomes be on the field for too long because he can score in like 2 minutes or something like that. Like against the Texans, 21 points were scored in the span of like 2 or 3 minutes against the Texans last season in the playoffs. And this year, the Chiefs have started the games leading rather than trailing. Like, for example, last year they were trailing 24-0 against the Texans, at which point everyone was like, ah, they're going to lose. And they caught up, completely blew the Texans out of the water. And then the Titans being down 10, everyone was like, no, they have Derrick Henry. They came back. And then in Super Bowl, I won't mention it because you're a Niners fan. But, anyways, long story short, they were down 10 with 7 minutes, but caught up and ended up winning the thing. So definitely try and keep Mahomes off the field, like you said, pretty much hit it on the nail. That Brady has to hand it off, but also pass. And Brady sometimes has the tendencies of overthrowing. And I think the X factor is definitely Rob Gronkowski because he hasn't done too well this season. But now you got that Brady and Gronk connection. Now we'll see what will happen. And with that, Evan, thanks for coming on this episode.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
All right. So now with that out of the way, the Super Bowl segment, we move on to Fantasy Minute, where I tell you guys 5 players you should add for your fantasy team. And so without further ado, let's get started. So DeAnthony Melton playing for the Memphis Grizzlies. He's their point guard, shooting guard, always like dual positions for your fantasy team. As I keep saying, the past couple weeks I did Fantasy Minute, and he is 6% rostered. Thaddeus Young, power forward for the Chicago Bulls, he's 23% rostered. He's kind of on the up and up for your fantasy team. Jermichael Green, power forward center for the Denver Nuggets, he's 16% roster. I was kind of surprised that more people didn't have him on their team because I kind of like him. on Denver's team. And now we go to Royce O'Neal, small forward, power forward for the Utah Jazz, 24% roster. The Jazz are killing it this season. So make sure to add Royce O'Neal. And now Gary Trent Jr. with McCollum out, he has been on fire, absolutely on fire. Like, he is 31% rostered, shooting guard, small forward for Portland. And with that, those are the players you should add for your team to hopefully win it. And so now we go to the trade that I think happened either on Saturday or Sunday, right after our episode. Matthew Stafford going to the LA Rams for two first round picks. Yes, I said two first round picks, a third round pick, and Jared Goff also going to the Detroit Lions. And the last time the LA Rams actually picked in the first round was indeed Jared Goff. And to recap their career so far, Jared Goff being the number one pick in 2016, he has 18,171 yards, 107 touchdowns, 55 interceptions, and 63.4% career completion percentage. And for Stafford being drafted in 2009, I'm pretty sure he was the one pick, the first pick also, and he has 45,109 yards, 282 touchdowns, 144 interceptions, and 62.6% completion for his career percentage. And he has the most yards for any quarterback who hasn't won a playoff game. And you can tell he is clutch down the stretch when you need him the most. He definitely delivers, even when Lions don't need to win a game. Like, they could have just tanked, but Stafford wants to win. And LA Rams just made it to the Super Bowl a few years or a couple of years ago with Jared Goff at QB. So Rams, I feel like they're giving up on Jared Goff, and I think Lions got a still pretty good quarterback, and Lions might actually be in rebuild mode. And it's unfortunate for Jared Goff because I think he was great in a winning culture, and now going to Detroit, I don't know how he'll handle the rebuilding. He's going to a nice sunny place like LA, and now he is in Detroit. Nice snowy weather over there, and clearly opposite to LA. But Matthew Stafford, hopefully he can win a ring with the Rams. I hope he wins a ring because I feel like everyone thinks he's an average quarterback because he hasn't been in Detroit, a losing franchise to say the least, for so long. Like, you didn't pay attention to like all these losing teams. Like, I feel like Stafford is definitely underrated in this league, and I feel like this is an upgrade for the Rams, but only a slight upgrade. And I don't think it warranted giving Detroit two firsts and a third. So I feel like Detroit definitely fleeced and absolutely fleeced the LA Rams in this deal. And that is my thoughts on the Matthew Stafford deal. And now we go to Manchester City being on fire in the Premier League. Like I said last episode, Manchester United was initially top of the English Premier League. And now we go to this week, and Chelsea beat Tottenham yesterday, and that's a huge blow for Tottenham. And now that puts Tottenham at eighth, but now they are 7 points behind Liverpool, 2 points behind Liverpool is West Ham, but Man City is currently on fire. And with the devastating blow to Burnley, I think Manchester United losing that matchup. Yeah. Oh, they lost to Sheffield United surprisingly, but then they answered against Southampton with a massive 9-0 blowout on them. But let's focus on Manchester City for now. They have scored 39 goals this season. They've only conceded 13 goals and posted 13 clean sheets. And their record currently is 14 wins, 5 draws, and 2 losses. And put this in perspective on how fire they are this season. They have drawn twice over the past 13 games. So twice over the past 13 games, they've tied the game. And the other games, if you ask, they have won all the 11 games that they didn't draw over the past 13 games, which is absolutely insane. Anytime you're on fire like this, woo, you cannot be stopped whatsoever. Like their last game that they played, they beat Burnley. Gabriel Jesus scored in the third minute. Then Raheem Sterling. Raheem Sterling has been doing pretty well for Man City. And in addition to Gabriel Jesus, if they can keep it up, they can definitely be first at the Premier League table. And usually, what happens to teams, I hope this doesn't happen. Like they have those streaks, like this amazing streak of 11 wins in a row and then two draws sprinkled in. When they have these streaks, they just have to keep it up. Like Raheem Sterling, keep it up. Gabriel Jesus, keep it up. And even they have Kevin De Bruyne, and Liverpool kind of struggling this season definitely helps. They might actually miss out on the top four, which I can't even imagine if that happened because of how dominant they've been recently. And even last year, Leicester City was in the mix, but they ended up choking when it counted. When they needed to win games, they lost games. So Leicester hasn't done well. If Man City can be at the top, that'll be fantastic because for a Manchester derby, this is when you hope and wish they had fans because March 6th they play Manchester United. That's gonna be a great game, considering that Man City is currently first in the Premier League standings and Man U is trailing by 3 points at number two. And they very well, this could be one of the best Manchester derbies we have seen. And I say that because Man City and Man U have absolutely been sensational this season. And for Manchester United, they have scored 46 goals to Man City's 39. And where Man U lacks is 13 wins, 5 draws, but 4 losses. That loss, like I said, definitely hurt them losing to Sheffield United, and if they won that, they could be tied with Man City, even snuck in a goal if they did against Arsenal. They could very well be tied with Man City, and we would have the top two Manchester teams at the top of the English Premier League table. And with that, thanks for listening to episode 5. Tune in next week for episode 6.